I've heard you needed some help with your eyeshadow, so I'm going to show you one way to do an easy, simple look. Step 1, find you a good concealer, and we're going to use this to prime. There are multiple ways to prime your eyelids depending on how you want to do your eyeshadow, but I'm going to show you one way, and this is the way I commonly do it. The e.l.f. Camo concealer is my favorite. I use it in all my eyeshadow videos. It has really good coverage. So with my doe foot, I'm going to apply 3 dots on both sides of my eyes. And this is a packer brush. So all we're doing is packing and moving that concealer to cover all our discoloration that we have on our eye space. I did add a little bit more, and then once all that's blended out, we're gonna go straight into eyeshadow. Make sure it is well blended and it is all one cohesive layer and not too much just on one part of the eye. Make sure it is smoothly blended and patted out. I'm going to be using our OuterSpice palette from Morphe, going into Sugar and Spice, and as you can see, I'm tapping it in first, and then any excess we'll tap off before putting it onto our eyes. So tap, take off any excess. We're going to place this color above our crease. When you relax your face, you obviously see that little indent and line, and that is our crease. We're going to put this color above that line. Pick up the color, and now we're going to stamp exactly where we want that color to be. Stamping, and we're going to first build up that color before we diffuse it out. So keep stamping, and we're going to create our shape in the center and into the beginning. So just for this step, I dipped into my palette at least 4 times. Now we're going to diffuse the edges of this color. So I'm starting where the color ended, and then I'm going in circular motions up and down. So circular motions up and down, like this, up and down. And I'm not applying a lot of pressure. Most of my pressure I'm using to hold my brush. I want to eliminate any bare space in between our eyebrow and the eyeshadow, so we're just going to be pushing it up. For this step so far, I've only dipped into the pan once. As you can see, some of that color has faded because we're diffusing. When you're blending, you're actually taking away product and minimizing the look. So that's why after this, I'm going to dip into the pan again to really bring that color back. I'm going to push the color towards the beginning of my eyebrow and the beginning of my nose, just so it gives a really seamless blend, especially when we do our nose contour. It'll all be connected. We're done blending that out, so now let's move into the next step. So we're going to use that same color, and then we're going to stamp it on and repeat what we just did. And all we're going to do is just build up that color back. Brush like this, you can really move the eyeshadow all over the lid. Go in with a more condensed brush as opposed to what we were using before. As you can see, the bristles are different for different uses. And into Sweet Talker. This color, we're going to put it right in the crease, not above. You want this color to blend into the color we put above the crease. And I'm just tapping, 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 building up that color right in the crease. Second dip. This brush, I laid it flat to pack on that color. I'm not using the tip of the brush. I'm putting it flat and I'm tapping it on. Now with the tip of the brush, I'm going to be blending this out. And we're not moving it up all the way. First, you want to start on the edges. So just blending out the edges of this darker brown. To have it blended enough, you're going to go back to your first brush, not picking up anything, and now we're going to diffuse it with this brush, the edges of that color, so we can really blend them together. So I'm using the same side-to-side motions with the little circular motions. And I'm going to be light with my pressure. Are you done blending and building it up? Now we're going to do a little bit of shimmer. Come back in with the M303 brush, and whatever concealer we have, we're going to place this right here on the lid. If you already did this and you didn't set it, why are you putting concealer again? We're putting concealer again because some of that brown went onto our lid space. So we're just covering it up and getting that concealer color back on the lid space. Go into Dash of Cocoa, and we're going to use our finger. With our finger, we're going to put it right on top of where that concealer is. Tap, tap, tap. Just going to keep pushing it up and blending it into that darker transition color. Once we have that all blended out, we're going to go into our last shimmer. We're going to go into Cinnamon Twist, and we're going to use our finger, pressing it right on. Dipping into Ginger Snapped, and we're going to put this in our inner corner. Place this in our inner corner, and we're just tapping it in and moving it up. So starting here and moving it into our eyeshadow. dipping into shade Sweet Talker. This very close to our waterline under our bottom lashes. And all I'm doing is a tapping motion. And then we're going to connect it at the end with the top eyeshadow. So packing it on really close to the lower lash line all the way. Depending how dark you want this color, you could do as many passes as you'd like. This brush, I am using just the tip of it because we don't want our eyeshadow to go really low down here. Just keep this color really close. So for this brush, we are using the tip of the brush. Went into Sugar and Spice with a small dense brush. We are using just the points, and we're going to be diffusing the edges of that darker brown we first put. And with this, we're going to go side to side motions, light pressure, and it'll be easily blended out. And that is all for the eyes.